So what's the difference between kilowatt and kilowatt hours? And more importantly, how can this information help us to save on our electricity costs each and every month? Well, stick around, because at the end of this video, I promise you that not only will you have a better understanding of the difference between kilowatt and kilowatt hours, but I'll also throw in 13 tips on how you can save on your energy consumption immediately. Hi there, this is kWh's and welcome to another episode here with Solarized Energy. Our aim here is just to equip you as the listener or the viewer in order that you can use energy more efficiently. So let's start off with the first term, and that is kilowatts. Now a watt is defined as the unit of measurement for the rate of power that an electrical appliance draws from the electricity supply. What that basically means is that as soon as you flip the light switch, power is then drawn from the electricity grid or supply, and that is measured in watts. Now, the moment you start using 1,000 watts, that is the equivalent of 1 kilowatt. So the way kilowatt function within a household or a business is that the more appliances that you switch on from time to time in your household or in your business, the more kilowatts is required from the electricity supply. And that is then in turn viewed as demand. You are demanding from the electricity supply a certain amount of kilowatts every time that you flip a switch of any type of appliance. Now picture this. If you switch on more and more appliances, you will then require a higher level of demand from the supply. Picture it this way. In your car, you have two dials. One of them is a ref counter. So the way kilowatts can be seen is that you are revving the car instantaneously as you flip switches on and off. So why is this important to understand? Well, the moment you can reduce the peaks that you are imposing onto the electricity grid, the more you can stand a chance of saving on your electricity consumption. So let's look at the second term, and that is kilowatt hours. Now with kilowatt hours, it is very straightforward. It is just the amount of kilowatts that you leave on for a period of time. And that is measured in kilowatt hours. So for us to understand this a bit more clearly is that we are going to look at a case study where we will consider a geyser, a typical 150 liter geyser that is rated at 3.5 kilowatts, and the temperature is set to 70 degrees Celsius. Now, how many kilowatt hours does a geyser normally consume? So for our case study, we will assume that the geyser will normally take roughly an hour and 40 minutes for the water to go from cold to 70 degrees Celsius. So I've broken this up into 3 sections. For the first phase, we will look at the entire hour that the geyser is drawing power from the grid. And so we will have 3.5 kilowatts, that's the rating of the geyser, multiply that with an hour, which will then equals 3.5 kilowatt hours. But then for the second phase, you don't have a full hour, but you have 40 minutes of an hour. So you will take 3.5 kilowatts multiplied by 40 divided by 60 minutes, and that will give you 2.33 kilowatt hours. So for that full time that the geyser has been operational, the geyser has consumed a total of 5.83 kilowatt hours. And that is how you can calculate the amount of kilowatt hours that is being consumed by any type of appliances. So how do we use this one then to start seeing how we can save on our electricity account? Well, if you can reduce the amount of time that any type of appliance is on, guess what? You are reducing the amount of kilowatt hours that you will effectively consume over the month cycle. So now that you understand these two terms in a little bit more detail, I promised you that I will throw in an additional 13 tips that will allow you either on one hand to reduce the kilowatts of a particular appliance, or on the other hand you will shorten the period of time that an appliance is on, and in both of these cases you can then start saving on your energy cost. So let's start off with tip number 1, and that is replace your light fittings. Did you know that by replacing your conventional lights with LED technology, you can save up to 6 times your lighting consumption that you are using per month? Tip number 2, reduce your geyser temperature. So I would recommend putting your geyser temperature between something like 55 or 60 degrees Celsius. In that way, your geyser won't take that long to heat up the water, and then it will switch off sooner, therefore reducing the amount of kilowatt hours consumed. Tip number 3, instead of a conventional electrical geyser, why not replace that with a heat pump? Did you know that by installing a heat pump instead of a geyser, you can reduce your kilowatt rating by up to 2/3? Tip number 4, install a gas geyser in place of electrical geyser or heat pump. Tip number 5, if affordability is a challenge for you, then wrap your existing electrical geyser with an insulation blanket. That way the water can stay warmer for longer. Tip number 6, you can also insulate your hot water pipes for the same reason as tip number 5. Tip number 7, so instead of your conventional cooking with your oven, try and use an air fryer for some roasting and some cooking. Again, did you know that by using an air fryer, you can reduce your kilowatt hours by up to 50%. Tip number 8, use insulation cookers. So with insulation cookers is where you bring your pot to boiling point and you switch off the electrical appliance and you put the pot inside the insulation cooker. That way the meal can cook with slow cooking, where the heat is retained inside the insulation cooker. Tip number 9, install gas for cooking as well. That way there is no longer a need for electrical power for cooking. Number 10, for those who are in the market for some air conditioning unit, consider going for the inverter type air conditioning units because they are more energy efficient than your conventional air conditioning split units. So tip number 11, consider using high energy efficient appliances, that is fridges, dishwashers, washing machines and tumble dryers if you are in the market for those. Tip number 12, put your pool pump on a timer. Especially during the winter season, you do not have to put your pool pump on for a long period of time. That way you can save on your energy cost. Did you know that for a 0.75 kilowatt pump that is on for 10 hours per day, that will equate to 7.5 kilowatt hours or units that you use per day? And then last but not least, this is my favorite one, and that is consider installing a solar system, because in that way the power that you are going to use comes from the solar panels, which will be free electricity that you can harness from the sun after you have successfully paid back the solar system. Well, if this video has been helpful to you in any way, please feel free to like, to comment or subscribe to our channel, and then share it with other people that you think will benefit from it as well. Well, this is Jermaine kW's. Thank you for watching. Till we see one another in the next one.